If you're serious about running a business, then you should quit your 9-to-5 job. Let me know in the comments if you've ever heard this type of comment or phrase before. And I'll be honest with you, when I got started online, this was a very, very common idea that if you were an entrepreneur or had entrepreneurial, aspirations, then for sure the sign that showed that you were a serious entrepreneur was you quitting your 9-to-5 job. I have a problem with that, and we're going to be talking about that in today's video. Now, it did take me a little bit of time to learn this, but once I learned it, once I understood it, I really wanted to share it with people, because in this entrepreneurial world, sometimes there can be a little bit of things left out. And I think it's really important to have the whole picture before you make any decision, right? Especially about your livelihood. Way back when I would hear that type of advice, I never really considered the background of the people that were saying this. And I think that this is really important. It's important for you to consider that, which is why I would not advise anybody to leave their 9-to-5 job in order to go start a business. Here's why. For some of these people that will say these things, sometimes some of them were still living in their parents' house. Yes, so if you're living in your parents' house, then most of the time, sometimes some parents do charge rent. It's likely that you were not paying rent. And actually, recently I was reading a book. The author had written about the fact that when he started his first successful business, the whole time he was building his website, building up to becoming the person that he became, he lived with his parents. His mother still cooked for him. She still did his laundry for him. So he had all this time and privilege and support system, right, to build his business. This was actually the book is called The Unfair Advantage. That was his unfair advantage. His unfair advantage was that he had a place to live. Had he not had that, because food is a big financial investment. Washing your clothes is a big financial investment because you need to pay for water, you need to pay for electricity, right? Living is super expensive these days. Like, real estate is expensive. So having somebody house you, feed you, clothe you, that takes off a lot of financial stress and allows you to definitely focus on the business. And then there was definitely this time when there was an author that wrote a book, and they were talking about how women could do something, and yet this person was the wife of an executive at a really huge company. So it wasn't like she was jobless. It wasn't like she didn't have money coming in. She had a support system. So whenever you're taking in these motivational entrepreneurial messages, I really, really would like you to consider the background of the person, right? And consider that you may not have the same support systems as them. Now, is this a reason for us to say, oh, I don't have the same things they have, so I'm not going to build what I want to build? No, that's not the point I'm trying to make. The point I'm trying to make with this video is that you should consider what you do have and what you don't have. If you don't have a financial support system that will help you as you jump from, your full-time job into entrepreneurship full-time, if you haven't proved that entrepreneurial model, that business model, if you haven't made any money from that business, and I remember this so well because somebody used to say, someone really wise told me once, if you want to see if a business will support you, then the first thing is, if you can, save about 6 months worth of expenditure money. And then the second thing would be to see if the business that you want to run will yield a certain amount of money. Maybe you decide that it's 50% of your current salary. So if you can do that for part-time, if you can generate 50% of your current salary on a part-time business, on a side business, right, then it's likely that if you come and run it full-time, right, you could grow that so that you could double or triple that income, and then that would cover the income you're currently making within your current job. And for me, that was fantastic advice. So one of the reasons why I continue to keep my 9-to-5 job is because of the financial security it provides. Yes, the financial security provides healthcare. Health insurance is super expensive. So I appreciate the fact that I have regular health insurance, right? If you have people in your family that have particular needs or particular health needs, you may need a stable source of health insurance. That's really important. And also, like, sometimes you need money to actually run parts of your business. And even though I have run my businesses full-time before, I've run my freelance writing business full-time for almost 2 years. So I know what that's like. And definitely there's nothing like knowing that you own your own time, knowing that how much you make in a month or how much you don't make in a month depends on you. Definitely there's a lot to be said about that life. But having lived on both sides, I will tell you this, that I absolutely enjoy having a full-time job and having that be a financial net for what I'm building. And also there's something really special about not being desperate. When all you have is your business and you haven't fully formed it or fully built it to the place where it could potentially support you and your family for months and months on end, which again, I have done before. So I'm not saying that this is not possible. I'm just saying, okay? But if you haven't built it to that point where you can say, okay, now I make $2,000 every single month. So if I quit my full-time job, I can come home and I can double that to $4,000 a month. And that's going to be enough to cover, you know, our basic expenses and for me to be able to afford healthcare, right? And maybe you have somebody in your household who's also supporting you. You know, just make sure you take stock of all the support systems you have in place and that you don't have in place when you're taking that decision. Because for me, that's one of the reasons why I still have a 9-to-5. I enjoy my 9-to-5. I'm going to continue to build my career, but I'm also an entrepreneur at heart. So I'm always going to have a business on the side. It doesn't matter what's going on. I'm always going to have some business on the side. But if you are struggling with that thought process of, do I quit my job or do I not quit my job? I want you to really sit down and think about it and think about what you have, what you don't have. Consider that carefully. Consider your finances carefully before you make that decision.